You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast,
delivering player experience news.
Let's go!
Fall is right around the corner, and why don't we switch to episode 260 of PXN. I am one of your hosts, video essayist and video producer from The Gamer, whose webcam is currently broken, Christian Macias. I'm joined over Discord by Kentucky's #1 Spartan and PXN founder, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM.
Switch it up. What?
Not to be confused with Dan TDM.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I'm not the diamond minecart.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Where's the T come from? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, duh. Yes, yeah, that makes sense. The president has been assassinated of the Tifa Lockhart fan club, but he will be resurrected in 3 days. Roshan will return. And rounding out our menage a trois for today, the third-person Sigma Gage Dempster. Oh,
my god, dude, I'm so ready.
for what?
The news, to chat with the boys. We got lots to discuss tonight.
We do. I'm gonna play around with the show format a little bit today, I think. Just for fun. We've been doing it for a while. Let's just dive right into the biggest news of the day with our topic of the show. The Switch 2 has maybe officially leaked? Question mark? We've been talking about the Switch 2 for fucking eons now, but apparently, according to Chinese sources, the factory prototype images of what the Switch 2 is going to look like have leaked. However, take that with a grain of salt. It also looks pretty much identical, which kind of contrasts what some people were thinking. Maybe it might have been a dual screen system, but others have said, like, does it really need to change? Just do the same thing, but with more powerful hardware? We'll discuss. But on top of this, I do want to mention that, I think Monday, a couple of journalists went over to Nintendo of America for some kind of unannounced thing that will then they'll be able to talk about next week. So it seems like some kind of Switch 2 announcement could be imminent. Also, let us not forget that it is also now September, and Nintendo does do their September directs around this time in September. So much to discuss. Thoughts so far? Is it real?
Is it real? Probably. It certainly looks like it could be real. I think it's quite exciting that it looks very similar to the first one, because Nintendo, if you look at their history as a company, they're pretty hit or miss for taking cues of like, oh yeah, let's just do this but better. Because like if you look at the Wii, from the Wii to the Wii U, right? Like they're in my mind, there's always a chance for something like that to happen. So when I saw this and I saw the leaks, I was kind of relieved. I was like, cool, we're just literally doing the same thing that everybody likes, but just a little bit bigger and a lot better, hopefully.
Are those two things not antithetical to what you just said?
What do you mean?
You said that when you saw the Wii U to the Wii, and you were worried, right? Or like back then you were worried because people thought it was like just a new controller or whatever. Would the same confusion not happen now if they looked the same?
No, I'm saying that because Nintendo sometimes totally switches things up, I'm glad that they didn't for the Switch.
Oh, I see.
I'm glad it wasn't another Wii U situation where we got some sort of dual screen gimmick and it's like, come on, you had the formula, right?
I'm the opposite, where if it looks too much the same, then there might be too much confusion with casual audiences.
Interesting.
I think it depends on what they call it, because I think the biggest, not the biggest, but in my opinion, one of the biggest flaws with the Wii U was the name. I think that a lot of people were confused at it being called the Wii U, that they didn't think it was a new console. They were just like, oh, it's just this other thing, Like,
right.
And I think that is an important question to ask, what they're going to call this next console. I don't know if you could call this thing Nintendo Switch 2. Maybe you can, but will that confuse people because Nintendo's never done that before? Or do they just say this is something completely different and have some other unique feature for this console, because remember, almost every single Nintendo console has some kind of unique thing to it. Like, I feel like Nintendo is the best at coming up with these innovations that the other manufacturers don't come up with. Whether or not people liked the Wii U is one thing, but you can argue that they didn't come up with something unique by having that
Right.
second screen experience that no other console manufacturer had. And obviously, we know what they did with the Wii with motion controls. So yeah, I'm interested to see what they do with the name and like what unique feature, if any, this console is gonna have.
You're getting ahead of yourself. We'll talk about that. But first, when is the announcement coming? Next week, you think?
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's not coming till next year. Am I crazy? Like
The announcement?
yeah, because I could have swore didn't they say something like that they weren't going to talk about it. Maybe just at that time, but I was thinking like January they were going to have an event or something to reveal it, and then it's coming out in April or May or something. I don't know.
I thought the last time that we got an official announcement, that they said that we'll be talking, we'll have more to discuss later in the year. I
Maybe.
could be totally wrong. I could have sworn that's that little paragraphs that the companies put out on Twitter. I could have sworn that's what it ended with, but maybe not.
I found it real quick. It will be revealed before the end of the fiscal year 24-25, which would be June of 2025.
Interesting.
Nope.
Now revealed. Yeah, does that mean announced? Does that mean
Right.
released? I mean revealed. Revealed
True.
makes me think and just announced, but
That's true.
I don't know. I wonder. I guess the other question that could tie into what Christian's asking is, does this leak adjust their plans at all? Maybe they were waiting until next year, and now we might get something sooner. I don't know. I would be shocked if we didn't get some sort of official announcement, just naming it or just letting people know that this is like a thing that's happening. Like, here's the official. This is what it looks like. Here it is. I would expect that to happen sometime soon, within the next couple of months, personally.
I like their secrecy. I like that they keep calling it the successor to the Nintendo Switch. This kind of feels baller.
Right.
Shout out to the chat real quick. Glenn says they goofed hard from Wii to Wii U, and then Keurig says, legit question, think they might just call it Nintendo Switch Pro. Then Ro says, Nintendo has done similar with DS and Game Boy systems with very small name changes, and it wasn't an issue. DS, DSi, 3DS, Game Boy Color Advance. Yeah, that's fair. Totally fair. All those consoles or handhelds sold very well.
I have a question. I'd like to directly ask Ro, but obviously he's not here. Is that the same though? Did the the DS, the DSi, the 3DS, were those ever like a main? Like, I'm trying to think of how to word this in terms of like demographics. Like, the Switch is like such a huge console platform, and I don't know, and I've never had I was never a part of that ecosystem, but like, did the DS? In my mind, those were kind of like a niche group, like an enthusiast. Like, you're really into Nintendo if you had those. Like, I never thought of the DS as like the main Nintendo platform. Am I crazy? Or were they bigger than I am remembering?
I thought the DS sold very well, didn't it?
They're big. They are bigger than you're imagining, but
Okay.
I also don't think it's quite 1-to-1 as well. Only because like this is like fundamentally new hardware for the first time in almost 10 years, whereas like the jump from 3DS to from like DSi is like an iterative hardware where like they introduced new shit to the 2D with the DS with like the 3D gimmick, but you could also still just play the games in 2D. Like, those, you can have the DS cartridge and play it across DS hardware. I don't know what to what extent Nintendo Switch 2 shit is going to be backwards compatible or vice versa. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, That makes sense. Yeah, Rose
Right.
says he agrees that it's not quite 1-to-1. It's a bit different, but DS was huge, he said.
That's
Right.
true. Yeah, massive. It was massive. Uh, history does side with you, Daniel. The Nintendo Switch original wasn't revealed until the spring of 2015. So, not that it matters. Nintendo can do whatever the fuck they want whenever they want. But if we are going to use history as some kind of inference marker, then yeah, next year in some to some capacity does fall in line with what you're saying for sure. All that aside, who gives a shit? Let's talk about what we want to see on the actual console. I listed a couple of things that I think we should predict. First of all, most important is when do we actually see the thing released? Release window. Obviously next year. There's new games coming out next year. But when? Similar to the Switch, original Switch, like it runs summer? Late spring, early summer, you think?
I'm thinking May-ish. What I was
Yeah.
thinking.
I agree. I think for them, even though they kind of have encroached, like this is like they've gone from this sort of like, I don't know, in my mind, the family friendly console to just like another console option. Like they've like the Switch has just propelled them in my mind to like where they're kind of on equal footing with PlayStation and Xbox in terms of like market share and all that stuff. And I feel like if they were to come out in the fall, especially if GTA 6 doesn't move, even though it's not quite the same demographic, like I don't know, I feel like them launching in May is perfect. They're getting out ahead of everyone. People are going to be hyped. I think I'm with Daniel. I think May would be huge for them.
I have to walk something back because when you try to Google something, we all know this. AI answers are just all over the place now, and it's so hard to just find like an actual answer. I think, according to this Nintendo.com answer, it was announced in January of 2016 and was then subsequently released on March 3rd of 2016. So less than 2 month
Or wait,
difference.
17, right? Should be 17, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nicole. You're probably right. I think it probably did release in 2017, but the way this Nintendo article is written does not make it seem that way.
Interesting.
Yeah, March 3rd, 2017 is what I'm getting.
That's so funny.
Don't you love
It's
AI? It's making
it's-
everything better.
Yeah.
It's at the very heart of our industry.
No, I was on the Nintendo homepage. Sorry, what does Kirik say?
Kirik saying 2017. What if it can run GTA 6? I don't know.
Well, somebody quote tweeted today, or today's leaked images and said Rockstar found one more console to port GTA 5 to.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Oh, dude, we didn't even mention in terms of specs. Oh, I mean, we know like some leaked stuff from a couple of months ago. I'm just seeing more reports on it today. Seems like there's a bit of a difference between where exactly it's going to land in terms of power. Some accounts have been mentioning that it's going to fall somewhere between the Xbox Series S and the PS4 Pro. Others are saying it's between the Series S and the regular PS5. I don't know quite what to believe. I'm inclined to believe that it's more closer to the base PS4 than anything else. Series S, PS4 Pro, somewhere in there.
12 gigs of RAM is pretty huge. That's
right.
I think the original Switch has 4 gigs of RAM, so that's 3 times more RAM. That's huge for developers loading textures and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, for a handheld, right? If it can hit the PS4 levels of power, like that's all you need for a handheld. Like that'll feel amazing, especially if the rumors of backwards compatibility are true. I mean, that'll make every game on the Switch just play. It'll play better in handheld mode than it does in how it does currently docked.
That's awesome. Just to think about.
Right.
All right, screen, LCD or OLED?
I think the rumor was LCD, so I'm guessing that, even though I would love for it to be OLED. Foiled.
Yeah, it doesn't need it. Like the OLED, like I'm with you, Dan. Like OLED is just better. It's just so much better. But like in terms of, I think they probably look at who's going to use this, and like a large percentage is probably young children. And it's like, are they going to notice? Is the burn-in effects worth it? Like I don't know. I feel like this thing will probably launch with LCD, and then maybe similar to how the Switch went along, right? We'll get a Pro model or something, or whatever you want to call it, with an OLED option.
And the cost definitely comes into play there as well. Obviously, the LCD is a lot cheaper than OLED
Right.
screens, so I'm interested to see what you guys say the price is going to be.
Well, hold on. One screen or two?
One.
Yeah, I think one as well. Price is such a tough one. It's such a tough one. I don't see this thing being that expensive, but I also don't see it being super cheap either. I think like $500 is probably where I'm at.
Wow.
I think Gage and I are on the same page here because we already talked about it off air.
Fuck you guys.
Gage. Well, this was a few days ago.
Right. I think Dan and I are both leaning in the $399 USD. I think
What's way too cheap?
no,
think
way
so.
too cheap would be $299. I think $399 is the sweet spot where they're still losing money. They're probably losing money on the console.
They don't do that. They don't do that. They've never done that. They sell their
They've
shit at
never
profit.
done that?
They sell their shit at profit.
I don't think
I
that they would
don't-
be. I don't think they would be losing money at $399.
We just talked about how their controllers are still $90, and their controllers for the
But this
next
is-
console are going to be better than the current ones.
So that leads exactly into my point. That's why I think it's $399. They never put their games on sale ever, right? Like the second coming of Christ could happen, and every lake in the world could turn to fire, and you're still paying $79.99 for Breath of the Wild. And the controllers and their accessories are always super expensive. So with that being said, I think $399 in the long, even if Dan's right and that is making a profit, I don't think you're making a huge profit on that, but even if that's making a profit, even if it wasn't, I think $399 is the price. I think any more than that, you start cutting into the demographic of suddenly it's not a no-brainer for the mom to go get the new Nintendo Switch for her kid. Suddenly it's something you have to think about at $499. So I personally I think $399. I think that's the sweet spot.
The OLED Switch, we talked about it last week, still $350.
Correct. OLED screens are a lot more expensive,
Right.
and I
So
think
this is
You
we're
don't think
factoring in the we're factoring in the
newer
LCD.
hardware.
Well, to be fair though, there's not a lot of times where manufacturers, especially in recent years, have dropped prices on previous consoles. I mean, the best example would be Xbox One and PS4 generation. Those consoles were not that much cheaper than the Xbox Series X and PS5 at launch. I want to say they were only $100 less as well. And obviously the power differential there doesn't, equate to $100. So I think that at the end of a generation and at the beginning of a generation, it seems like it's crazy to say that, but I think as soon as that console launches, they immediately drop the price on the Switch OLED and the normal Switch to kind of move on to the next piece of hardware.
So $399. It's too cheap. It's too cheap.
I think here's what I'll say. I think it will start at $399. There may be multiple options
Here we go.
of. Well, no, I'm saying they
Here's
have.
a little cop-out answer.
How is that a cop-out answer? I'm explaining it. The memory. It's the same thing that PS5 and Xbox Series X does. They have
Steam Deck?
different sizes of drives. That's personally what if they have a 128 gigabyte Switch Pro or whatever it's called at $399, and then 256 gig version at $449 or $499, whatever. I think it's possible that they have multiple SKUs.
Man.
I think
NVIDIA DLSS on this thing too.
Yeah, it's
Chip
possible.
shortages. You know how hard it's been for tech. I don't know if they can cut it down that low.
Well, I mean, you gotta think this has been secured. This hardware has been
For a
secured
while.
for a while, and also, I think we talked about it about maybe not. Maybe I'm just picking things up again. I could have sworn that there was some sort of inclination that the Switch successor was ready to go a while ago, but they just held on. They decided to shift it.
That's right. I forgot about that. You're right. Yeah.
Right. So I think Nintendo is acting in a way that they're trying to guarantee success, and they're willing to even postpone and move things around. So I think I think you're crazy if this thing launches and the lowest option is $499. I don't think so. I think that'd be too much.
So here's an
$400. Maybe that would be godlike though.
Here's
You know
an
what I mean?
Here's an interesting take here. 7 years ago, there was a company that did a teardown on the original Nintendo Switch, and they priced it out to be $257 to build the original Nintendo Switch. So I don't think it's that crazy, honestly, to say that it's.
But they sold it at $299.
Correct. So they made 42-ish per console.
PS4 Pro was sold at a loss for $400.
Yes, but this PS4 Pro, I would argue, had more leading edge hardware than what I think we're going to get from the Switch Pro. I don't think that Nintendo's not going to Nvidia and saying, "Give me the latest and greatest." They're saying, "Give me something that's price affordable, but a significant power jump from our last generation."
And the efficiency and power scaling of technology is exponential, right? Like that's the thing. Like Dan just said, it's not only is it not the latest and greatest cutting edge hardware, but it's giving me pretty good hardware equivalent to the power of a console that came out 10 years ago. Like I could really see them being able to get a really good deal, and especially the fact that they're obviously not paying consumer prices. They're paying, they're buying bulk for all this tech that is now tried and tested, and also they're not going for cutting edge, bleeding edge.
Not if it's falling somewhere between PS4 Pro and Series S, and new consoles haven't dropped at all in 5 years, nearly 5 years, 4 years.
And that's true. The ultimate power level is really going to decide the price range, right? Because we don't know what it was. This rumor of it falling somewhere between the Series S and the PS5 is new to me. I always heard that it was going to be somewhere between Xbox, I always heard that it was going to be around PS4 or PS4 Pro. And if that's the case, I think the $399 price tag is much more likely. If it ends up being somewhere like a PS5, I personally don't see that. I don't see that happening. But if it does end up being like that, then I think you're probably right, and it's closer to $499. But
I'm sorry, Kirik. I am reading. I was trying not to interrupt them, but I saw your comments. Kirik says the only way they can make profit and still sell it at $399 is if they use underpowered hardware, even by today's standards. And I think that is
what they're doing, right? Yeah.
And he also said, Glenn says, I mean, as long as they give us more than 32 gigs, damn it. Of course, the original Switch had 32 gigs of RAM. And Rose saying they're going to make it all back with Mario Kart 9.
And they will. I'm excited for that. Okay. I'm glad someone finally brought up games, because the last question on here is like, what launch window games are you expecting on this thing? I think the next Mario Kart, which really makes sense. That's been in development for a minute, and we've heard through speculation that it'll feature some kind of new thing never before seen in a Mario Kart game. What that thing is, I don't know, but it is very exciting for new hardware. What other games are you expecting? I have two others in mind that are kind of surefires.
The next mainline Mario, right? 3D Mario.
That's one. Although it is a possibility that the next game from that team is a Donkey Kong game and not Mario. That
That's
has
fair.
been the speculation for a while. But I would love to see a new Mario game for sure. For sure.
If the rumors are true that they did intentionally delay the launch of this thing and it was ready to go a while ago and they're just holding on, I wonder if part of that strategy is making sure that they have a big launch title that covers like one launch title or multiple launch titles that cover a wide variety of genres. And I wonder if we're
Yeah.
gonna get the Metroid game that has been in development forever. So that you have your fun kart racing game, you have your shooter game, you have another sort of open world like Dan's alluding to, an open world platformer that Nintendo's known for. They just try and get as many big launch titles as possible for this thing.
Dude, if this thing launches at $3.99 with 2 to 3 first party games, you won't hear from me for a whole month. Just me, some pizzas and some joints, dude, just chilling with Nintendo hardware. Could you imagine?
What
The power of a PS4 Pro in your lap.
I play docked. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
You're good. What I want to know is what are they gonna do with existing titles? Are they gonna give us a free update for Tears of the Kingdom, for instance, to run that game at a higher resolution or frame rate, or are we gonna have to buy new versions for that? I hope that we get free updates for games like that, especially newer games. I'm not saying let's go back to a 2017 game or something and update it, but like for games that have somewhat recently come out, that would be cool.
We're going back to a 2017 game later. Don't worry, Dan.
I have a question for you, Dan.
Yeah.
What if it's neither? What if you don't have to purchase a new version? And what if it's not updates? What if they go the Xbox route and have been working on some sort of hardware accelerated? You pop in your cartridge of Tears of the Kingdom or of Breath of the Wild that you got from 2017, and the game automatically plays it at whatever it's 60 now instead of 30.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be cool too. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I mean, I would love that in addition to like Tears of the Kingdom getting a nice update for the new hardware, but of course, also considering that I still have to beat that game.
You beat Astro yet?
We'll get there. We're gonna be talking about that later in the show.
Here's my last wish. I want some software updates, particularly I think a small upgrade to Nintendo Switch Online would be very nice. Move away from these numbered characters for friendships or friend lists. I'm sorry, and move toward to some kind of unique identifier name, maybe with like a 4 hashtag number, like the way Discord used to do it would probably be.
Yes.
Somewhat a bit more streamlined, a bit more friendly, and then having the possibility for not just like Bluetooth adapter, but like USB stuff. Just make it a bit simpler to use other third-party peripherals on your hardware. I think would be very nice, especially if this thing is portable, you want to be traveling with it. Just make it a bit easier. That's my wish.
Yeah, I really like how Xbox does gamer tags now, where if you come up with something unique, you have that to yourself. Like, not to yourself, but like you have the original title, and then people can do the same one, but then they have the 4-digit hashtag at the end. I really like that. I hope they do something like that.
Mr. Wabaku.
Well, it's Gilbo Biggins, but sure.
Kirik says definitive editions, that's where the money is at. And I agree that's traditionally where they go with that. However, with Tears of the Kingdom in particular, I think Nintendo's already been on record saying that there's no DLC coming for that game. So I don't know what definitively they could do other than just up-res it or whatever. So that's why I was hoping that they would just do an update for it, but I guess we'll see. Ro's gonna be pleasantly surprised if they give us a free beefed up update though. I'm sorry.
All right. What?
That message I just got, Gage?
Huh?
It just popped up and said Gilbo Biggins is now playing.
Huh? I'm just checking something, Dan.
Let me update Steam real quick. So I get notifications too. I'm so happy this happened because I was debating doing this at this point in the show or not. So now I will be. Let's head on over into what you got for me. Take a break from the news, sit back, relax, and talk about what we've been playing this week. As always, we go down the list. Daniel, what have you been up to first?
I have been playing, you guys will be proud of me, a lot of Astrobot. I've been very, very much enjoying it still. Trying to 100% it, or at least get as close to 100% as possible. I may not get all those little fucking things in the machine, since I don't know if I'll have enough coins by the end of my playthrough, but very much enjoying the game thus far. Which I think from from Astro's Playroom also this was the case. The smaller levels seem to be the ones that are like really making me fucking just think and like really enjoy like the mechanics behind it, because a lot of these smaller levels are a lot harder than the normal levels that you're just kind of out there vibing. So like you get to just vibe out at the normal levels, and then you get to those little bitty worlds that you discover by destroying the asteroids or whatever. And then you get on there and you're like, oh my god, this is insane compared to like the normal game. Obviously, it's not fucking impossible or anything like that. It's not crazy, but it's a lot harder than the normal levels. And I've been enjoying those levels in particular. It's given me a bit more of a challenge, which is cool. But
one of the things from the Astrobot Playroom game that shipped with every PS5 is that they had speed run challenges for every single level, and it's those challenge levels that you can really feel the like speed run energy. And we know there's a free DLC coming pretty soon that'll introduce speed run to the game as well. And so you can already see people like Sony Legend, the guy that does GIFs, is posting clips of him beating those challenge levels in like 45 seconds or whatever or less. And I was right there with him. Where like those levels do make me sweat a little bit, but I'm also doing it in a way that is like pushing myself to get a fast time.
Yeah. And sometimes those levels encourage you to go faster too, because like with how fast things are going, it actually might be to your benefit to move faster through the level. So yeah, very cool. Very much enjoying it.
No Halo update?
I mean, that's every week. I play Halo every week. You don't even have to ask.
I was assuming. I don't know.
Grinding for that stupid helmet.
Dude,
stupid helmet.
I am a hero update. This is hero update. I'm getting close. I'm on the second to last tier, second to last rank. Essentially, there's like ranks within the ranks, but second to last one. I see the light at the end of the tunnel.
It's finally coming.
Ro, what have you been up to? I've got nothing. I thought about it, but maybe next week. There we go. Ro did not play a game this week. I've been playing a lot of shit, both for work but also for fun. Up first is I've been doing a video.
Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, don't worry, we'll get there. I've been doing a video on shooters for work that I'm editing, and so one of the new games that I picked up this last week was this new indie called I Am Your Beast, which is a level-based like Twitch shooter where like it encourages you to beat the mission objective under a certain amount of time, and like every kill, and the better the kill, like the more little multipliers you get that then reduce your time by the end of it. So you can do like you can beat a level in negative time. I know that's possible, but yeah, I sent a clip at some point this week to you guys. I mean, doing a challenge level. It's so much fun getting headshots and parkouring around that map. It's so fun. I also am working on a Mario 64 video, so I downloaded the ROM for the original Mario 64. I also have my cartridge for the original 64 that I'm going to pull up as well. Then I got into ROM hacking, because the video is about ROM hacking. So there is a community of Mario 64 where people make their own games using the Mario 64 engine. There's thousands of these. One of them I shared to you guys in the PXN chat a while ago. It's this Mario in the Multiverse, where they're giving Mario like stuff from other games like Splatoon or Doom and a bunch of other shit that comes out next year. I've been playing one called Star Road, which is like these like homebrewed challenge levels that are like really test your Mario parkour abilities. There's Mario Decades Later, which is a reimagining of every single level from Mario 64, but decades later, like actually in time. Like how has the kingdom changed in this amount of time? And so the levels are slightly different, a bit harder. And then I played Mario versus WarioWare. Do you guys know what WarioWare is? You guys ever play a WarioWare game?
I know of it, but that's it.
The WarioWare games are like mini games where it's like it'll pop up and it's like, all right, do this thing, and you have like 5 seconds to do it or whatever, and it'll get like harder and harder and faster and faster. So I played a Mario 64 version of that where it's like defeat Bowser in 60 seconds or get 3 more red coins in 15 seconds and like or shit like that. And it was really fucking fun. It was a solid like 35 minutes. Some of the scores that you can see on there in the scoreboard are fucking insane. So yeah, the Mario ROM hacking world is pretty fucking crazy. The one that's most exciting is B3313, which is like an impossible one where like the game is just meant to fuck with you. The layout doesn't make sense. It's scary at times. The game breaks on purpose, and then it'll fix itself. A lot of cool shit. Mario 64 is crazy.
Christian, what you meant to say was you're playing it the legitimate way on N64 Nintendo. He's not doing anything illegal.
I will encourage piracy even. I just will not tell you how I'm getting it, which is that it will get you in trouble. But I am 100% pirating it.
Nintendo's suing
because I own the game. I own 2 Mario 64 cartridges. I've given them my money. I'm going to stop talking here in a second because I'm going to let Gage transfer over. But I want to mention 2 more things. Modern Warfare 3, got into that after Black Ops 6. A lot of fun. I gave that game a lot of shit. Surprisingly, way better than Modern Warfare 2. They fixed a lot of things. The maps are way better than Black Ops 6 maps, I got to say. So far, from what I played.
Insane.
Those Black Ops 6 maps, not fun at all. They're way too cramped, a bit too hectic. Modern Warfare 3 maps, they're like proper medium-sized maps with like 3 lanes with the things that like go in between. They let you switch lanes in between. A lot better. I gotta say. Crazy. Who would have thought? Here I am. I have 2 things I want to mention, but I'm gonna pass it over to Gage. Before I do, I have an Xbox gripe that I would love to see changed, or see if there's something else that maybe you guys can guide me with. Dan taught me about the best way to transfer over my video clip saves from my console to my PC. I'm using that for work, right? He's like, yeah, just the best way is to just plug in a USB stick because you'll get like the lossless instead of getting it from the cloud. Awesome. I didn't know it makes you format your fucking USB stick. It has to wipe everything, which is absurd. Most USB sticks for other hardware you like plug in just fine. I'm plugging this thing into my laptop, into my PlayStation, into my PC, no issues. My Xbox, oh, we can't use this. We gotta delete everything before we can use it. So I bought a new USB stick.
Can you use that for capture on PS5? I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah.
Sick.
Just fine. Which leads to my second point. I don't know if it'll fix itself when you transfer over your video clips to USB. I would love to see your Xbox clips saved in subfolders depending on what game it was captured from, instead of just a massive list of here's every video clip you've ever saved.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. 2 more games we played, but I want to pass the mic over to Gage to talk about those.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 3 games I want to mention. I'm going to start with over the weekend. The lads, everyone here, and some other people played Left 4 Dead 2 on Steam.
Oh shit! Forgot about that.
Exactly. It's been a while. It's been maybe like a year since I've played it, but it is one of my favorite games of all time. And it's one of those games that as soon as I start playing it, I immediately remember, oh yeah, that's why I love this game. This game's fantastic. Valve, what a company, man. What a company. So Left 4 Dead 2 is great. The modding community is great. There's just nothing but good things to say. The next game we're going to talk about is a little indie game that just came out called Lockdown Protocol, which is, I like to call it a spruced up version of Among Us, but really they've got a lot more going on. That they've really doubled down on the sort of tasks that you have to complete as an employee. So, I mean, standard layout, you've got, 6 employees and 2 dissidents, killers, if you will. And the employees have to complete tasks, the killers have to stop them. But instead of it sort of being determined by attrition, where you just have to kill everyone, you can, as the killer, you can kind of just sabotage everyone's progress and hide critical items around the ship and do stuff like that. And we had quite a few guys on. We were playing it, and I don't know about you guys, but I think that Lockdown Protocol is definitely something special.
That game was fucking awesome, dude. It was so fun. This is kind of what I wanted out of Among Us. Like, I had fun with Among Us, but after about like an hour-ish, I kind of felt myself wane and be like, all right, let's move on to the next thing. I felt like I could play Lockdown, like I could do one more forever.
Right.
And I don't know what the special quality of it is, because it is essentially the same thing. But I don't know, something about the way the body, like even just the physics of that game, where like when you're sprinting and you turn a corner, you see like your body like shift a little bit. That part gets me. The way like when you're interacting with stuff, it eats up your stamina, and if you use too much stamina, you start to take away health. That part's really interesting. And a good old proximity chat game, man. I discovered that when you guys were behind like a glass wall in one of the computer rooms, I can't hear you guys because it's like a soundproof wall. If I push myself right against it, it's muffled, and if I turn the corner, then audio was bouncing off the walls behind you guys, and then I could hear you guys. It's so sick, dude.
I think what makes it special is they doubled down on the sort of gamey sort of balance versions of it. Everything, interacting with everything, feels tactile. You have to push a lot of buttons and eject cartridges and then clean them and then put the cartridges back in and use a screwdriver to secure them in place. It's a lot of the little things where it's like they've, instead of just eat it, interact, right? They've kind of taken it and they've gamified every little step you have to do to sort of complete these tasks, which makes it fun even if you play 8-9 games in a row and you're not marked as a killer. It doesn't really bother you because everything is so gamified and like balanced to the nth degree that it feels fun. Everything feels like a challenge.
And there's like a random factor. Like every task you're doing doesn't feel the same because there's different circumstances. Like you're building different types of pizzas and you're building different types of configurations to put into the machine. Like it doesn't always feel the same because of how many different variations there are. That feels really good. Maybe let's just work on our random number generator so Dan doesn't get the bad guy for the first 4 matches in a row. Let's work on that, guys. And then match number 5, everyone's questioning me as the killer, and Dan's fucking struggling to figure out what the fuck to even do because he spent the first 4 rounds as the bad guy and didn't do the tasks. And everyone's like, whoa, Dan's the bad guy because he's not doing tasks. No, Dan just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing because he missed the first 4 fucking rounds.
Just step away for a minute when that happens.
I did.
Yeah, and then come back and be even more of a fucking menace. I will say I think the best recommendation that we could give the audience that's listening is that we tried this game for the first time and we played it for 5.5 hours straight, which is insane to me. Absolutely insane to me. And it's funny, as everyone was getting off, in my heart of hearts, I could have gone for another round.
Yeah,
I could have absolutely gone for another round. And then the last game that Christian is waiting with bated breath for me to mention is another indie game. This one's a bit older. Mm-hmm. It is one of the best roguelikes I have ever played in my life. Up there. I don't know if it's better. Personally, I don't think it's better, but it is up there, sitting comfortably with the likes of Hades.
Oh yeah,
easy. This is a game called Risk of Rain 2. And oh my god, I can't wait to get into
What's your hour count, by the way?
That's a great question. Yeah,
I'm at 48.6, dude, and and I still haven't seen everything.
Where do I find it? Where do I find this? It's right here.
All right,
I
library.
am at 75 hours.
Oh my
75
god,
points.
he got me beat.
This game is so. It is like the epitome of strip the fat and focus on what works. Like, it is core gameplay that just feels so rewarding and so fast and so fluid. The game revolves around. If you're looking at a game like Hades, it's very much pick one of 6 weapons and make your way through stages, and you get meaningful boons and upgrades, but you get them few and far between, and they all have a big effect. Risk of Rain 2 kind of takes an alternate approach, where it's like, we're going to give you a lot of items, we're going to give you them often, and the items on their own do very little, but everything in the game, every item, every boon is stackable. So the game really kind of revolves around you almost building a deck, even though it's not cards, they're just little items that boost stats. But it's very much, it almost kind of feels a little bit like a deck builder at times, because you're just trying to get the right items to build the right synergies to sort of propel your character from this very base starting kind of squishy little pleb into an overpowered killing machine. And Christian and I have just been fucking absolutely sunken down the rabbit hole of this game.
The thing for me that I realized is like, because the whole catch of that game is the risk reward system that happens like literally every second you're playing. Because the longer you spend on a stage, the harder it gets. Literally, like after like at a certain minute count, the game switches from easy to medium, medium to hard, hard to insane, and so forth and so forth. Where the fucking the name of the difficulty is just like something ridiculous, like ha 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 ha, ha forever ad infinitum. Right. I realized like that game doesn't actually start until maybe like after the 5th stage, when you decide you're gonna loop back to the beginning and start again. That right. I think is when it's like, oh, okay, here's the real game. Now let's see what kind of character you built and do the same stages or similar stages again. But what kind of build did you make this time to encounter the enemies? And I did a run where I needed to get to stage 20 with a character, and I realized there's a bunch of enemies I hadn't even seen before, like variations of enemies I hadn't seen before until between stages 15 and 20. Right. Which is fucking insane. And I just started I did that like between hour 40 to 48. Like there's still a bunch of stuff I haven't even like seen. There's like a bunch of secrets in the game I haven't discovered. There's still the pressure plates in that one stage I haven't found to get me behind the vault door. Just an endless game that is like extremely addicting. And thoroughly engaging every second I'm playing.
Right. Dan, what did you think about Risk of Rain 2?
Let's just say this. If Risk of Rain 2 was the roguelike game that you guys got me to play first, I would have said, yep, I fucking hate roguelikes. So, I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't vibe with me as well as it does with you guys. I love Hades. I love that gameplay loop. I do not love the gameplay loop of Risk of Rain 2. That's just my personal preference. It's not, it's not the game's fault. I'm sure it's a fine game. It just doesn't vibe with me for whatever reason. I don't know what it is.
I saw the way you played.
What does that mean? I just
To be fair, it doesn't vibe with me is the best answer you've given so far as to why you don't like it. That's the valid one. I was apprehensive at first because I think the reasons you were giving were just like I wasn't vibing with your reason for not liking it, but the overall reason of I don't vibe with it is fair. And I will point out, I bought this game. So Christian, when did we start playing this? What, maybe 3-4 weeks ago?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. I did buy this game, I want to say like a year and a half ago. And before you and I played it a month ago or however long it was, I had maybe like 30 or 40 minutes played. And I didn't vibe with it then either. I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. Like I said, 30, 40 minutes, which is, a solid swing at a game and then never touched it again. So I don't know what it was about this time. I don't know if it was the fact that we were both going in with like doe-eyed and like, oh, let's try and see what this is, and maybe that's the attitude you need. But I didn't vibe with it at first either. But now I cannot get enough of it.
And to be fair, that might be part of it as well on my side, that I'm coming into it from a brand new perspective where you guys were already playing it and kind of had an idea of what was going on.
Right.
And I'm kind of coming in new. So like you guys are already like discussing all this shit and I'm just like, I don't know what that means, but I'm just playing this game. So like maybe it's partly on my side to take more investment into it and try to want to learn more about it. It was not vibing with me when we were all playing, and maybe that's just because I don't have a lot of experience with it. I don't know. But I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't wait for the rain to dry up.
Oh my
It
God.
won't. There's a monsoon coming. There's plenty of monsoon coming. This music in this game is one of the best like
Yes.
OSTs I've heard ever in a game. That is not being hyperbolic. It is legit that fucking good. It's fantastic. I used to go to sleep listening to that soundtrack.
Right. It's very, because it is a roguelike and because you are doing these, especially if you want to loop your run and try and get even higher and higher, you are doing these stages over and over again, and the soundtrack is great because it's obviously the songs are looped, but it's just so, instead of having like, oh, the music's quiet when you're exploring and then there's battle music, it's just kind of one soundtrack that plays, or one song that plays for a set stage, but it's looped so well that like you don't even realize, I don't even realize that the song's looping. I'm going from moments of focusing on the gameplay to a certain spike up in the music will happen, and I'll remember that, and I'll be like, oh yeah, this music's fucking great, and then everything just blends so well. I totally agree with you, Christian. The OST for this thing is amazing. Yeah, Risk of Rain too. I don't know what to say, man. It's
Rain too.
You know what? One of you two needs to bring me in to a match, and then maybe like the one-on-one, because I feel like that's part of the problem.
When you played, you were our fourth, playing with three of us who already knew the basics of the game.
Right.
And I think we must have done something with our artifacts or our mods where like it was just maybe like a bit too hard for someone first starting out, and then you died, and then if you die you don't get the item pickups that we get, so you're at like a disadvantage. It's like if you started a Destiny 2 raid and you've never done a Destiny raid before,
Right,
but everyone else
right.
had,
Right.
and you died, and everyone else is just hard carrying you. It's like, of course I wouldn't be having fun.
Right.
for sure. Mindset is, I think you're totally right, Dan. Like that's totally a part of it. And like that with that Destiny example, like I would be in my own head being like, okay, well now I'm the weak link. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well,
like totally.
We played with Guy. He was our third, and we did the thing that we didn't do with you, is we explained everything as we were doing it, and followed him to make sure he was doing things a certain way. And I think he had a much better time than you had.
Fair enough.
I think the one-on-one idea is good, Dan. You and I will have a little date night this weekend. We'll play a little bit of Risk of Rain.
We got more news item to cover before we end the show. We had breaking. No, I'm sorry. That's quick bites. Let's go into our news of the week. One news item. This is from yesterday, I believe, and then Dan shared some more insight today. Hold on. What is Rose sending here? Oh, what is this?
What?
Oh, the community manager at. Okay, I see. We'll get there in quick bites. My fault. Dan shared an article from Insider Gaming today. We had news that the next Battlefield is currently in development, and there's a lot to be excited about because it is going back to basics for a lot of the things that made Battlefield, and things that Battlefield 2042 did not have, such as 64-player matches. They're ditching, I believe it was 128. Is that correct? I think that's correct. They're ditching specialists and going back to class system. There's going to be a classic 4-class system in the next Battlefield game. A more back to basics approach, according to General Manager Brian Bede. What else here? I sent a tweet here that included one more thing I wanted to confirm. I can't remember.
45 weapons at launch, 10 multiplayer maps at launch, significant overhaul to destruction, including caliber-based destruction like Rainbow Six Siege, which that's huge. changes to movement, including the ability to pick up and move down teammates, which is interesting.
Okay, and they're also going to include a community program sometime in 2025, which is going to be huge as well. They're nailing it. 2042 is not the return that they were kind of hoping it would be for Battlefield. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the last thing. They're moving away from a future setting and going back to a modern day setting. Yeah, and so like I know 2042 did get support after its release, but I know that internally they had a team that was like just shifted on over into the next thing because they figured people weren't going to jive with this installment as much as they would with something that would be more return to form. And it looks like, as far as I can tell from quote tweets and stuff on Twitter, people who are into Battlefield are pretty excited about this, me, myself included.
You know what's
Yeah. Go ahead, Dan.
You know what's funny about them saying that they're returning to like a modern timeline and not being in 2042 is that this game takes place between 2027 and 2030. So it's only like a 10 or 12-year difference, which is funny. They're just using like the marketing of saying
Right.
we're going
Sure.
back. It's so funny.
I think I think really what it is art style, right? Like it's like, oh,
Right.
we're not gonna have the futuristic, glowy, crazy HUD and drones and all that stuff. But
More
yeah,
gritty.
but like when you look at it on paper, it's like it's a bit silly because 2042 wasn't really that far in the future, anyways. Yeah, I mean, for the longest, it sucks. It's weird because I remember explaining to somebody or talking to somebody about like our favorite games, our favorite types of games, and I would always say like my favorite franchise, is Halo, but my favorite multiplayer game was Battlefield. Like I said this at the time, and this was I think around the Battlefield 1, maybe going to Battlefield 5 era, and that Battlefield was always the game that I enjoyed the most when I was in a multiplayer session, and it hasn't been that way for a long time. Battlefield 5 did not jive with me. And then obviously Battlefield 2042 was a huge letdown. I am pleasantly surprised with a lot of this news. I didn't expect them to go away from Specialists. I really thought they were going to double down and try and copy Call of Duty. It's funny, looking at movie parallels, it's kind of like Call of Duty is the Marvel and Battlefield has been DC for a while, where they've just kind of been obsessed with like just trying to emulate whatever Call of Duty does. And they do it to like a much less degree of, they're not really able to accurately sort of do what they do. I was really expecting them to keep doing Specialists. I wasn't expecting them to go to a modern timeline. So those two things are kind of huge for me. 64 players. I know people are really excited about that, and a lot of people didn't like the 128. I thought the maps didn't work for the 128, but I don't know that. I don't. I personally, would I have liked to see like maybe like an 80 player limit or something? Yes. I think 64 is good, and it'll probably be fine. Especially the big thing is maps, right? Like the player amount doesn't really matter. It matters how it feels in the game. But the thing is that the more cool vehicles you add, especially vehicles with bigger seats, the less people you have running around. So like 64 players, is it better than 128? Probably. Would I have liked a little bit more, or maybe they introduce like some sort of set dressing bots types things? I don't know. I think that would be pretty cool. But all in all, the news that we got is very, very exciting for somebody like me who's been kind of disenfranchised from the Battlefield sort of space. And this all sounds great. I'd love to get back to the era of Battlefield 4. And the community test environment, they haven't said that that's what it is, but it sounds like that's what it is. That's what they did for Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1. So the community test environment testing that they're going to do next year, if that's a big sort of open testing thing, that'll be awesome.
I would love for this game to come out next year, like in the fall.
Right.
That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. There was also a video. I don't know how he got this, but Jack Frags uploaded a video a few hours ago, and he claims that there's footage of somebody just running around an empty sort of test space. But he claims that the footage is from Battlefield 5. I don't know, or sorry, this next Battlefield, whatever it's called. I don't know how he got to that conclusion. I mean, he usually knows his stuff with Battlefield. He's usually not somebody to just make up things. But if it is true, there's only a couple of things you can glean from it, which is the animations of them running around and the M4 that somebody's holding. And I will say the weapon model looks a lot better. The big problem I had with Battlefield 2042 is the art style. Everything looked like Nerf guns and big and bulky and kind of gross. I don't know what way to put it other than gross. So if this footage that he has is actually from Battlefield 5 from early assets, we're already off to a much better start in terms of immersion and art style, which I think was the biggest thing that hurt Battlefield 2042.
But Call of Duty and Battlefield, they're both arcade games, but like Battlefield was the one that went for a more realism route, which is so ironic because like the gun models and the gun sounds in Call of Duty felt a lot weightier, a lot more realistic. The 2042 guns felt like plastic. Like it felt like I wasn't shooting anything.
And it used to be the reverse, right? Like Battlefield back in the day used to have super punchy sounds and like was this gold standard.
Absolutely. I think Dan, like you mentioned earlier too, the caliber level destruction physics is really cool.
Yes.
I think that would be a lot of fun for like I want to get back to the synergy of Battlefield where you could, like in Battlefield 4, you really could for an entire match, an entire 20-minute match, set up somewhere as a sniper and contribute to the team by covering certain objectives. And if they have sort of caliber level destruction, like you could be creating sightlines for your team with a 50 cal, a mile away. And just that sort of synergy of working with your teammates and stuff like that. Like the gameplay loop has always been, in my mind, leagues ahead of Call of Duty when it works. So I would love for it to get back to working. That would be awesome.
Yeah, the destruction stuff has me very excited to go back because in my eyes, and obviously Battlefield 4 did a great job with this as well, but like Bad Company 2 was like the peak for destruction for me. Like playing Rush and like just being able to take out walls and go, storm a building that has the Rush container in there that you're trying to stop. That's so cool.
I 100% of that game achievements. And I remember the last one was the one where you had to get a kill from like destroying a house and with someone in it. And I remember that one taking me like a full week to get to finally like get. I just couldn't do it. Like I couldn't get the timing on it right. And when I finally did, it was like such a big pop for me. Like finally get the fucking platinum for that game. Right. I miss Bad Company 2.
Yes.
And BF4. I miss BF4 a lot. And 3. I like 3.
We don't know what makes Bad Company special. What, EA?
EA.
Crazy. Let's quickly go through our quick bite items. We had some breaking news happen right before the start of the show, which is Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are suing the developers at Pal World, who recently announced, by the way, that they were not going to take their game free to play and they were going to continue on a more premium model and have a more traditional kind of seasonal content updates roll out throughout the year. We'll see what happens if Pocket Pair, if Nintendo, kind of a scary person to have litigation thrown at you by. Although I don't know the logistics of this. I don't have the fucking legal knowledge of this. Like, is parody of something grounds for legal action to this degree?
The problem is that is it grounds for legal action in America is way different than is it grounds for legal action in Japan.
Sure, actually.
From everything I've heard about this, that's the sticking point. They don't have fair use over there. Things are totally different. So I don't know. The biggest curveball of this quick bite story is why did they wait so long? Unless they now have some sort of ironclad fucking
defense for it. Yeah. And I do know that Pocket Pair was like looking into, I don't know if they actually did it or not, but they were like wanting to get into trading card space, which is like, all right, now you're doing too much. That's too close. Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is personally, a lot of the designs look very similar to what Nintendo has going on. Like playing that game, you're like, all right, this is a bit too on the nose. Like, I don't know. I feel like of all the things that I shit on Nintendo for, I feel like this is probably one that I'm like, I could totally see an argument here, like on Nintendo's behalf. Like it is very fucking similar.
Sure. They should make better Pokemon games, though. You know what I mean?
They should.
Fair.
Shortly after we ended the show, I think this was the next day, last week, the entirety of Annapurna Interactive, the video game division of Annapurna Pictures, resigned. The entire staff resigned over a dispute with the owner. I don't know the full extent of what the dispute was. I don't know if there's any documentation of what that is to the full extent. All I know is that 25 members, I think the staff is 25 members, all 25 members of the Annapurna Interactive team collectively resigned. This is one of the hardest decisions we have ever had to make, and we did not take this action lightly. Spokesperson for Annapurna confirmed that it had explored a spinoff and said the parties failed to reach an agreement, which led to resignations. I suppose that's a dispute there. Crazy. All the development teams who are partnered with Annapurna Interactions, I know, probably a bit nervous about what the future holds. Although, from my understanding, is that those contracts will still be held. Like they'll still release under Annapurna. What that looks like, I don't know, but still.
Yeah, most recently Remedy, right? Announcing their partnership with them.
That's Annapurna Pictures, not Interactive. It's different. Yeah.
Well, are they not? Didn't they say they were publishing control too?
They are not.
Oh, interesting. I missed this from the last story. Rose said, that's the problem. There's been a lot of Pokemon likes and no issue for the most part. Temtem being one. They just stole the designs in the example of Pocket or Power World.
That was the biggest problem, is that they definitely flew too close to the sun with some of their designs.
Speaking about flying too close to the sun, Flappy Bird is making a comeback, but it's not what you expect. Here we go. A blockchain company seized the trademark for the game it was seized in a court by Game Tech Holdings LLC due to Nguyen's inactivity. That's founder of Flappy Bird, Dong Nguyen, and is now relaunching as a crypto scam using fans' nostalgia for the game to sell NFTs, which it fucking blows. And insane that this is the world we live in. Moving on, I already talked about this in our private chat. I won't go too deep on this, but it's very cool that a new Balatro technique has surfaced recently, as late last week, and it was buried under 1,700 lines of if statements based on the original game. Very cool for new strategies to pop up in the game based on someone noticing this one weird thing in the game. Local Thunk. Y'all crazy.
Very cool.
PlayStation is partnering with AMD to design and fabricate the PlayStation 6's chip as it prioritizes backwards compatibility. Court docs previously suggested next-gen consoles won't launch before 2028, but already we're getting news 4 years in advance of next-gen hardware, the 10th generation, I believe, console hardware.
Ramping up. We're going to get a bunch of news here in the next.
Which is interesting. Do we think that Xbox is not going to launch before 2028 if they don't do a mid-gen?
Oh, they definitely will.
Yeah. I think that 2028 numbers maybe for PlayStation, but for Xbox, I would expect something sooner.
Yeah. 2026 was the rumor, I think.
Yes.
Speaking of rumors, it's rumored that Bungie is reportedly considering a $40 price tag for Marathon. It would match the launch price of one of this year's biggest releases, which is Helldivers 2, and one of 2024's biggest flops, Concord, which were also published by Sony. Although morale for that team reports are that it's not very high right now.
No. I don't know how you. I mean, I guess go take a look at his cars and make yourself feel better. I don't know how you improve morale.
Yeah.
I can tell you how. Oh, please go ahead.
Sorry. I still have high hopes for this game because I know there's still quite a few people working on this game that have a good pedigree of making games. So obviously I hope the studio situation gets a lot better, but I'm hoping that they can pull this out and make a great game at $40. And I don't think the price point is as much as a factor. We point to Helldivers 2 and Concord, but I don't think that at the end of the day, that really matters. I think they just need to make a really good game and not screw
Right.
people over with microtransactions if it's a $40 game, you know?
Now that
Obviously, it's
second part is going to be
Right.
the sticking point with this one. Yes.
Exactly.
You know what I would pay $40 for? The
Risk of
Last
Rain
of Us
2?
Factions 2 and Risk of Rain 2. Next year, be excited because Skate is going early access at some point in 2025. I can't believe we all signed up for alpha testing and none of us played it.
I did.
That's so funny.
Or wait, am I allowed to? Maybe?
No,
I
think you
maybe
can.
didn't play it, no.
Tell me if you're going to be playing the last chapter in the Star Wars Jedi series because Respawn is currently developing the third and final entry in that trilogy.
I still have to finish the second one.
Yeah, that's a pretty on par with what I thought Dan would say. Okay.
I played about 40 minutes of the first one, and I thought, wow, this is really janky for a game that's universally loved. I think I'll not play this anymore.
Oh, that's a good game. It is
I've seen
janky.
clips of the set pieces of like the boss fights, and like I'm sure that there is a compelling story and like it's well paced, but I don't know. I just the animations, the
Dude,
the climbing, the wall running. I thought it was
when people share clips of like the challenge sections of the parkour runs, and they're like, "Oh, this is fucking awesome!" Like, dude, this looks like shit.
Yep.
This looks janky as fuck. What are you
It
doing? What are you
does.
talking about?
I don't think it looks like shit. It's definitely janky.
It looks
like
last
shit
gen.
It's now available on last gen. You can buy it on PS4 and Xbox One as of this week.
That doesn't surprise me.
Well, the new one. We were talking about the original. I don't know.
Sorry, I thought we were. No, I'm
Sorry.
talking about the second one.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, I was confused.
Sorry, Cal Kestis. I'm gonna sit this one out. I believe in you though.
A lot of people sat out Final Fantasy. It's according to Square Enix, our last quick bite. As Square Enix recently said that, sorry, it was a report in May that Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy Rebirth did not meet expectations. Although Square has been saying that about all their games since 2013 or 2014. It feels like they probably have a right this time because those games were pretty high caliber titles. But again, they were also exclusives and they also took forever to make and they had huge budgets. So
yeah, they kind of shot themselves in the foot when they made a PlayStation exclusive, regardless of what Sony paid them for that.
well, I don't know about that. I'm talking about like letting the budgets get that huge, that like the projects get that long,
Right.
And then to still maintain those kinds of high expectations, I think is a little bit unrealistic. Excuse me. Having people like this is like launching on new hardware that like not a lot of people have adopted, right? But it's not the same amount of like people who have like PS4s and Xbox Ones, right? The market is limited in that regard. And then speaking of Sony, Daniel, thank you. It's our one and only street meet. Let's run it over. There's rumors that a state of play is hitting at some point next week, wherein the Horizon Zero Dawn will be officially remastered. The Horizon Zero Dawn remaster will be officially announced, as that has leaked in some ESRB online listing. Once again, another PS4 remaster that nobody has asked for.
Gee golly, I cannot wait for the new state of play to see Alloy in the PS5 Pro.
Oh, you're doing that on purpose, right?
I am doing that on purpose. What's
Alloy
going
thing?
on? What's going on?
We were just talking about Square Enix being upset about not meeting expectations. What's going to happen when this game doesn't sell to Sony's expectations? This remaster.
Well, they'll remaster the remaster and try again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It is a positive that it is a remaster, not a remake, which I think has different connotations. If it is a remaster, it could have been passed on over to some kind of partnership developer and not an actual guerrilla team that was focused on it. I'm just speculating, but I do think that like kind of curbs expectations a little bit. My actual expectations are going to be for the state of play for this month because I know it's rumored to be a third-party focused show. And I think there's speculation that Astrobot might get some DLC announcement. I know people are really excited about Monster Hunter getting its like lengthier looks. A lot of people are excited about that one, myself included. I want to get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess Astrobot had some characters leak that aren't in the base game. I haven't seen who they are or anything, but I saw that story.
I found out they added bots to the Playroom game that you could take with you to Astrobot.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's pretty cool.
Natalie wants to know why your place is so dark. Turn on the light, bro.
Yeah, no, it's the camera. It's the webcam. It broke today. Our last item for today, not even item, it's our last segment, excuse me. As always, we've got our fantasy draft check-in. We had a lot of movement last week, but we also have a lot of movement this week with 2 games getting scores instead of just 1. League history. Let's see league history real quick to see if don't think anyone has picked up or taken things down. Is that right? Okay, Daniel says no. Perfect. The first release was the Plucky Squire. That was one of Roshan's picks. It released somewhere in the 80s, if I remember correctly. And then it stayed there. It stayed at an 84 Open Critic, netting Roshan 14 points. He is now at 124 total, with 3 open slots left. Insane. And then Gage had a game that got scores today. It was Frostpunk 2 that is sitting at an 85 Open Critic, although it's still what is the word?
Not locked in yet.
I'm looking for a specific word that people use, but yeah, it's not locked in yet. But it's seeming like he'll get 15 points.
Bringing me to a grand total of 15 points. Oh, okay.
44. 44. Right behind third place, Daniel with 112. Only 70 to 80 points shy. That Gage.
Oh, good.
Got a couple of games on the horizon. One from me, that's next week, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And then also next week is, who's Maidenless Gaming? That's Gage. The Starfield Shatter Space DLC, which I've seen 3 things from people that I follow in the industry. And all 3 of them have been a bit on the higher end of what I was expecting out of that content drop, which is like, oh, this is actually looking pretty exciting for Starfield. So that is maybe some good news for Gage's fantasy draft. As a friendly reminder, the first place for this year is going to get a custom controller with some kind of PXN winner thing engraved on it. And then last place is going to be, Gage will be having to eat 10 wings on stream.
Such an asshole.
Anything else? We cover everything today?
I think
I think
so.
that's everything.
A tight hour.
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half, but yeah. No. We started a bit late. This is hour 15. Not bad. All right, lads. Let's let you go. The class has been dismissed. Thank you again to everyone joining us live on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Pods, YouTube Music, Spotify, and everywhere else you may get your pods. I don't know where else you'd be listening. Podbean? I don't know. Thank you, Roshan, who is in his jammies and taking care of grandma. Thank you, me, who is in the dark with a broken webcam. Thank you, Gage, who is playing Risk of Rain 2. That is Daniel, sitting at home with everything blue, but not feeling blue. And this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out of here.
Much love and keep on gaming.
There you go. There it is.